There is a door in the Demon's Souls remake that did not exist in the original. It's in 1-3 at the opposite end of the courtyard and suspiciously hidden at the end of an alleyway behind an illusory wall, and it appears to be locked. And Bluepoint have done something like this before. In their Shadow of the Colossus remake, they created this locked door, which was actually a reference to a 10-year-old quest that fans had been going through in the original game to unlock a supposed secret area of the game. Except now, in the remake, that locked door could actually be opened. Collect 79 coins hidden in the enormous world, marking 79 steps to enlightenment, and the door would finally open, revealing a throne room and the Sword of Dorman. So let's call this the Door of Enlightenment. If you use photo mode, you can actually get a glimpse behind it, and if you go into the adjacent alleyway and use photo mode, you can actually see right into the opposite side. For some people here, there's an item on a corpse sitting on a bench, and for others, like me, there's nothing there, which seems to indicate that there is a condition that needs to be met for this item to appear. So right now I feel like our best clue would be figuring out what gets this item to spawn, and if we can carefully figure out what that is, then maybe we can figure out how to open the door as well. There are hundreds of thousands of minds watching this video, so it's time for the 5 of you who actually own a PS5 to get to work. While so much of the Demon's Souls remake is the same as the original, there are things like this in the game that will surprise you, so subscribe, check out the new Displate at the end of the video, and enjoy. In Demon's Souls, there's a mechanic called World Tendency, where your actions can affect the white or black tendency of your world, making it easier or harder, respectively. And in the original, you had to really squint at these archstones in the menu to try and figure out what level of white or black world tendency you were in. But now, in the remake, there's a brand new world tendency menu that you're also gonna have to squint at to try and figure out what your world tendency is. It's not that easy here, either. But what I found curious on this page was the inclusion of the 6th broken archstone. It's almost as if it's positioned and ready to have its own world tendency, which also means it could be positioned and ready for DLC? Now you can argue that the original game also had the 6th broken archstone on it, but man, I can't help but hope. Bluepoint basically reverse engineered the entirety of the original Demon's Souls to create this game, so can you imagine what they could do if they actually partnered with From Software on official new DLC content for this game? I really hope that happens. So speaking of fractured things, like the Broken Archstone, you can now offer 25,000 souls to the central statue in the Nexus, and if you do this you'll unlock 3 new quality of life options, which each require more souls to use. So the first is to request forgiveness, and this is basically absolving your sins in Dark Souls, where angered NPCs can go back to being neutral. This was actually super useful for me when I unintentionally unleashed the wrath of God in the Nexus and obliterated Baldwin. The second option is Fractured Mode, which, man, it makes my brain fractured, I'll tell you that. Fractured Mode flips the entire game horizontally, including your character, which really threw me for a loop, considering you still attack with R1 and block with L1. So this is supposed to be a way for the entire game to feel unique and unfamiliar for veteran players, and it does definitely achieve that. It just does so at the expense of your sanity. The third option allows you to go back to the character selection screen and amend your character's visuals, which is definitely appreciated. But this actually has gameplay implications as well, because in Demon's Souls there are some armors that you can only wear on a male character and some that you can only wear on a female character, so being able to go back and change to type A or type B stops you from getting locked out from certain armor choices on a character. And further up in the Nexus there's also an altar where you can check on your character profile. One of the only level changes that Bluepoint has made to the game is in 1-4, which is the final stage of the game. Unlockable from behind is a door to the tower, which then allows you to skip the run past the first section of the bridge and allows you to go straight up to the dragon's second roost instead, by which point you're actually so far ahead that you can just run right past him. I had to look this up to remember if this shortcut actually existed in the original, and the funny thing is when you do, you're hit with these 10-year-old posts from people saying, "No shortcut in 1-4? Really?" It's pretty funny to think that these people finally got their wish, or maybe they became a Bluepoint developer and finally made their dream a reality. So here's what you got if you pre-ordered the game. The Reaper's Scythe, a fancy weapon with a polearm moveset, and if you bought the Digital Deluxe Edition for $20 extra, you would have also received the Ritual Blade, which has a Great Axe moveset, and the Hoplite Shield, which is a sort of large shield, along with 2 unique armor sets, a ring that increases item discovery, another that increases your health, and a handful of consumables. The armor and the weapons appear to be true exclusives, and the weapons seem pretty powerful. The Ritual Blade especially is unique because it's a Great Axe class weapon that only requires 12 strength, which is a piddly amount compared to the minimums of its counterparts. And no, you can't drop these items online for other players, if you were wondering. But here's the thing. These weapons can't be upgraded either. They're forever stuck at +0, which means they're not actually viable beyond the early game, and they will never really give you an advantage in PvP. I guess this was Bluepoint's solution to the backlash that would have been received if these ended up being a distinct PvP advantage for people that paid more money, and don't get me wrong, I'm glad that it's like this, but it still doesn't solve the entire problem. You still don't get access to everything in the game unless you pre-ordered the Digital Deluxe Edition, and the new armors are still unique and nice, and you'll never get those. But whatever, at least there were unique items still added to the game outside of the Digital Deluxe Edition. For example, there's the Blue Eye Knight set. There's the official set, and you now need to collect every piece of this set to rescue Yuria, and not just the hat like in the original. There's the Sodden Ring, which allows you to move more easily in the swamp. There's the Gold Coin, which is a rare drop from the officials, and it improves your luck. And there's also the Ring of Uneven Scales, which you get from trading the gold coin to Snuggly. This raises your maximum item burden, but lowers your maximum equipment burden, which seems like it's the wrong way around, because why would I need more item burden when I can just send my items to Stockpile Thomas? But it's not only the gold coin that Snuggly accepts now, she'll also accept your rune shield for a $20 hoplite shield, and your rune sword for 40 white arrows. And funniest of all is to trade pure bladestone, the rarest drop in the game, for the Ring of Longevity DLC ring, which raises your maximum health. If there's other trades here, then they're yet to be discovered. And with more items comes more lore, and it's nothing groundbreaking, nor should it be considered canon, but it is still interesting. Now, the Hoplite Shield, for example, is described as a medium-sized metal shield designed for Boletarian legions. The legion's protective formation was renowned across the kingdom. The Blue Eye Knight armor was supposedly made with hardened iron from Stonefang and emblazoned with the image of the sun as proof of their commission from the king. The Ritual Blade mentions the ancient tribe of the Shrine of Storms, and the set of the Fat Officials is said to serve as a hateful reminder to the resentful masses. Also interesting are the new stage names, which actually didn't exist in the original, and there are also new translations in the game that had an opportunity to fix some of the bad translations from the original, but we'll get to that in another video. You can also warp to stages that you haven't completed yet with a press of the PS5 button, which is actually pretty useful sometimes if you're not near an archstone. You will have to give up all your souls to do this, but often you don't care about that. When you are at an archstone though, you can actually warp to different worlds with your controller triggers now. In the original you had to go back to the Nexus, so this is good. And while you're in the PS5 menu, you should definitely browse the trophy list, which actually includes some really fun ones this time around. For example, vanquish the Tower Knight without killing any archers, vanquish Maiden Astraea without killing Garl Vinland, vanquish Adjudicator without having him fall over, vanquish the Fool's Idol without hitting any clones, that's a great one. Cross the walkway through the idol's volley of arrows, vanquish Penetrator with Bior, and vanquish the Dragon God with the Hands of God, which I love because this weapon was said to belong to an ancient hero who slaughtered dragons with his bare hands. So these are excellent additions to the game because they encourage you to play in different ways, and that's something we've kind of lost ever since From Software stopped adding tail weapons to their games. So I would love to see more things like this in the future. It's great for replayability. In your options menu, they've also added a great tips page with some clean little animations. These sorts of animations are also used when you browse the spell list at certain vendors, allowing you to preview what you're about to invest in. And if you ever need to take a breather while playing, the options menu doesn't pause the game, but the photo mode does. Just be aware that it doesn't pause the game if you're playing online, but it does turn the camera into a sort of free cam instead, which, you know, is a really great way to observe your summons while they beat the game for you. And for all intents and purposes, healing remains the same in the Demon's Souls remake, except instead of being able to carry 99 of each grass like in the original, there's now a limit on each type of grass instead. I guess this is good, but the limits aren't really severe enough to stop you from chowing down on grass to get past a difficult section of the game. If there's an item that you want to skip to quickly, then put it as the first option on your quick bar and you'll be able to hold down on the D-pad to skip to it instantly. This is a quality of life change added to the other Souls games, and it's a welcome one here as well. They've also added in Omnidirectional Rolling while locked on, which is kind of one of those things that you would have really felt if they decided to keep 4-directional rolling like in the original. Of course, the UI is also different, and, you know, that super modern, minimalist look is kind of jarring at first, but it did grow on me throughout my playthrough. Or I guess a better way of saying it is I forgot about it during my playthrough, because the visuals in this game are so overwhelmingly incredible that you don't really want the UI to be obtrusive or even have an interesting design at all, so I felt like it got out of the way where it belonged. Your opinion might differ though. So in the original Demon's Souls, a hilarious icon would appear when you put on the cat ring. This is it. Literally a cat. Maybe it was a placeholder icon that accidentally stayed in the game for the full release, who knows. It became a bit of a meme, and in the Demon's Souls remake, a lot of people went to get the cat ring only to discover that our cat was nowhere to be found. But in the credits screen, after you finish the game, in the screen that shows an area from the tutorial, there's our missing boy on a flyer pinned to a tree. Have you seen this cat? We miss him. Another huge change in the remake are the music scores for each boss, which have been reimagined by Bill Hemsterpat and his team with special attention to preserving the mood and intent of the original game. Kida-san, the game's original composer, has actually given her approval of the revived soundtrack on Twitter, and that is some high praise coming from her, because I feel like Kida-san's original score it contributes enormously to the atmosphere in Demon's Souls, which I maintain personally is the best atmosphere in any game that From Software has ever made. One thing I think we can all appreciate about the remade tracks was how they're interwoven into the cinematics and the gameplay. Listen to this clip from the Maiden Astraea fight.
I feel you.
I'll probably give my full thoughts on the music in another video when I've taken the time to carefully listen to all of the tracks, but I will say while playing I did like what I heard. Yes, some of them have a different tone, but you know, just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad, and I enjoyed thinking about what this change in tone meant for the lore of the fight that I was experiencing. They've even gone back and got a lot of the original voice actors, and they've re-recorded all the voice lines, and some of them actually have a bit of extra dialogue as well. Listen to this bit from Ostrava.
A dead end? Then I'm done for. I'll never make it out alive.
And to match all of the effort that must have got into getting these new narrations are incredible facial animations as well, which kind of look best in class, and they express real emotion here. But there's one character in particular whose new animations are amazing and cursed. Patches.
Nothing here is stolen, I swear.
So much of this game is preserved from the original Demon's Souls, but they did update all of the attack animations, and they managed to do this while preserving the cadence of the original attacks. But without a doubt, the best new animations added to the game are the critical hits. God damn. Bluepoint knocked it out of the park with these, and there are unique ones for one-handed and two-handed backstabs, and also you get a unique animation if you manage to pull off a parry with a two-handed weapon as well, meaning each weapon class has 4 different critical hit animations, and since there are 5 different weapon classes, that means there's 20 new animations in total, plus the 2 that you get from fist weapons. While these play out, I'm also going to announce my new Demon's Souls themed Displate to remake a demonic soul, created in collaboration with Thiago Lehmann. The concept for this piece was to make a play on the word remake, while still being inspired by the world and characters of Demon's Souls. So what I came up with was to fuse 2 powerful bosses and remake their twisted soul. So standing in a similar arena to the Tower Knight, under fire from the archers with flaming arrows, is the Phalanx Knight, dripping with the black goo of Phalanx and towering over the viewer like the Tower Knight. The actual boss Phalanx has a glowing core which is visible within this character's chest and head, and it's covered with that same wiry armor, and he even has a sort of Phalanx shield, which we decided on way before we realized that there was even going to be a hoplite shield in the game. In the background, there are a few more Easter eggs. There's Longbow Ulan, the Black Phantom form of Phalanx, who used to attack from behind the Legion's shields, and there's also 2 familiar dragons gliding over the castle. The overall design is inspired by those super retro movie posters that had really striking text and sort of solid colors, and because of this it looks great in all sizes on Displate, with a matte or glossy finish, whatever you like. Displate also chose this design for their limited edition program, so for a limited time, starting Thursday the 19th, midnight at CET, you can buy a version of this print that has been enhanced with selective gloss finish, special ink, and unique frames. It actually looks incredible, I'm super impressed, but you're gonna have to act quick if you want this version because they're only making 200, and Displate Club members will get access to it 24 hours early if they've bought from Displate previously. With the link in the description, you'll get 33% off if you're buying this Displate, but the more you add to your cart, the bigger your discount gets, so consider picking up Convergence, The Painted World, or Future Souls as well. I have a whole collection now, which is cool, and working on this stuff is a huge passion for me, so thank you for supporting it, thank you for watching, enjoy the animations, and I'll see you next time.